In the year 2025, we didn't just get one new Predator movie, we got two new Predator movies added to the Predator franchise. And with that said, it's very exciting to dive back in and re-rank the Predator franchise from worst to best. It's been quite a while since I've been able to do this, but I definitely want to get your guys' feedback, your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. And as always, as a reminder, when I rank stuff, this is my opinion, not yours. My opinion might not reflect yours, and that's completely fine. But this comes from a massive Predator fan who grew up with the original Arnold film for basically my entire childhood. My dad showed me that at way too young of an early age, and I absolutely always became fascinated with the creature. I was scared of it. I was dreaming about it. I love the Predator so much. So this is going to be an exciting ranking. Leave your thoughts down below, and without further ado, let's get into this. Down in last place is Alien vs. Predator Requiem. Now, I know not everyone's going to include these two Alien movies, but I thought for the sake of it, I would. Alien vs. Predator Requiem is one of those movies that is undoubtedly one of the worst films maybe ever made. It's a film that you can't see what's happening. It makes logically no sense. It's boring to all pieces, and it's also just, it's just boring. It's terrible. And that sucks to say because I think the concept, building off the last Alien vs. Predator movie kind of worsened some of this. It's just every time I've gone back to Requiem, I've just never been able to get back into it. It genuinely is one of the worst films ever made in cinema history, and it commits the worst sin, as I've already stated. It's boring. And the other sin about that is you can't see what's happening. I don't know what happened on a production of this. I'm sure there's a whole documentary or fun facts about it, but this is one you can completely skip. Then we get into my number 8, which might have been one of my most anticipated films in the year that it was coming out, which is The Predator. I love Shane Black as a director and writer, and I was so excited to see him tackling the Predator franchise, specifically because Shane Black was in the original Predator film. It feels like he had such close ties to it all, and this film sucked. This film sucked. I remember initially walking out of the theater, I was like, I think I liked some of that. And there were some nostalgic bits of that because I got to go take my dad to the early screener of it. And, I have never cared for this movie. I've tried rewatching it a couple of times, and it just never grabs my attention. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It has humor, but the humor is not really that funny. It sees serious themes with mental issues and specifically what it deals with in the soldiers, but it doesn't really know how to handle that. And also, it also commits another sin, is that it's just not entertaining. The action really isn't there. It's kind of boring, to say the least. And there is a lot of cool aspects about the Predator here, but again, it just never concludes to something. It feels like it's like 3 different ideas mashed into one, and specifically one of the worst endings in any film I've ever seen. Like, especially in like recent blockbusters where everything's trying to build up a franchise, the ending of this film is absolute god awful. Iron Man Predator. What the fuck were we thinking? And my number 7, which is Alien vs. Predator. Now, with 7 on up, I would say that these are fun movies that I could rewatch and enjoy. And the first Alien vs. Predator, I think, is a weak film in the story department, in the character department, but in terms of delivering Alien vs. Predator, it is awesome. I think this movie would have been more awesome as an R-rated flick, and I think that is the one thing that keeps it a little bit lower on the list for me. I know there's a lot of people who find this to be a complete guilty pleasure, but for me, I've never really had the urge to like dive back into this one all too much. It's really only when I'm re-ranking stuff that I feel like I need to jump into it, or if it's playing on FX as I'm scrolling through the channels, I'll let it play through. And Alien vs. Predator, a fun movie with a lot of good ideas. It's just, it's a little bit casual in terms of its action, and I really think a more experienced director needed to tackle this. But I will say I'm really looking forward to it because we all know that we're eventually going to get another Alien vs. Predator in the future. It's just, honestly, I think in the next 6-7 years we're going to have one, and I think depending on who directs that will be the more interesting aspect. And I will ask you, would you prefer that Fede Alvarez directed that or Dan Trachtenberg? Let me know. We get to my number 6, and there's a lot of people who seem to love this movie. I have never been in the camp of loving it, and it might be just for the same fact that I don't really care for the location that it's taking place in, which is Predator 2. Concrete jungle, which is like what my friend likes to call it, and say, yeah, it's like cool to see the Predator in the concrete jungle of a city, like taking out gang members and all these sorts of things, and you have Danny Glover involved. And I think Danny does a really good job in this film. I think there is a lot of fun aspects. I think it's cool to follow follow the same Predator format, but put it into the city instead of the jungle. Again, it's kind of taking the same sequel approach that a lot of these films during this time period decided to do, especially when they built off sequels. Take certain things that work, change up a little bit of the location, but still keep the same. I think for me, this film may have worked a little bit better if Arnold had returned as Dutch. Not saying that we needed him to be, but I think it may have like influenced and added just a little bit of that aspect to the franchise itself. I've never cared for Predator 2, and I know there's a lot of people who really love it, but every time I rewatch this one, I kind of doze in and out of it, and I enjoy the action for itself, and the Predator is awesome looking, but there's just not that memorable sequence that makes me go, fuck yeah. Get into my number 5, and that is Predators. Now, I know a lot of people really aren't also a fan of this one, but I've always had a guilty pleasure for this one specifically. I love the concept of them basically like a group of ragtag people who should not be working together are thrown into a planet that is just for the Predators' hunting ground. It's not their home world. They're just there to kill. And I really thrive and love that the fact that that is what this franchise is all about and what it wants to deal in and have fun with. And I think Adrian Brody, for the most part, is fun in the role. I think it's more fun to see how everyone and like what sins they may have committed. I also think like Walton Goggins does a lot of fun aspects in here, specifically just like with the shanking of the Predator. I think the way that you see how this all plays out is the way that it works. I think the action set pieces are fun. I think the build-up and learning a little bit more about the Predator lore is one of the more interesting aspects of this, but it's a survival story. It's taking it into a new location once again and just adding more fun. Is it terrible? No, not to me. Is it great? No, but it's cinematic fast food, which I do enjoy, and I will always watch Predators when it is playing on FX or if I'm just in the mood to watch something that I can just doze my mind off with. And yeah, I enjoyed this one. We get to my top 4, and I would say 4 and on up, these films are about flawless, like for me, in terms of being a almost near perfect Predator experience and what I want from the Predator universe. And at my number 4 is Predator Killer of Killers. I wasn't excited when Dan Trachtenberg said he was doing an animated Predator film. I thought it was cool, but also in the idea and what he was talking about, especially when it comes down to anthology storytelling, I wish it was just going to be an anime show. But after watching the movie, Killer of Killers opened up a whole new area for me of excitement for the Predator world. One that I was not anticipating to be this excited about, because this, while it details 3 different characters, opens up a whole new avenue for Predators. First off, we get awesome new Predator designs in each and every one of these new pieces of history. We get to see aspects of the Predator world, or like just Predator taking on different areas of their world and time that we've always wanted to see, say samurai, say Viking. I think that's awesome. We even have, I think it was either World War I or World War II, which was quite interesting to say the least. But the way that it all concludes in building these stories together to leading up to an awesome final fight with another big ass Predator that is amazing. And I think from what I remember, this was on their home world. But it builds up and it gives you some amazing action. The animation is stunning. But then you get to the ending of the film, and while you have this awesome cinematic bowl of amazingness, you get down to the ending and you see Danny, you see Arnold, and you see Naru, which Amber Midthunder is, who's played Naru, and I love Midthunder in that role. And you end on that, and you make me go, where's that going? That excites me to like a whole other degree. I want to know where this is going. Is it that those 3 are going to potentially be in like a Predator Killer of Killers like sequel where it's like their stories being told, like where did they go? Is it potentially that we get like Arnold in live action? I don't know. Those are my questions. But the fact that you end on that is just ballsy but badass. And it excites me to no end, especially as someone who loves the Predator universe and like wants to see more of this. I think Killer of Killers just scratch that itch that I wanted for more Predator content. I can't say that this is one that I would like want to rewatch, but if it's playing, I would rewatch it. And it's one that I would highly recommend to other fans. We get to my number 3, and I really went back and forth on my 3 and 2 for quite a bit. And I think this might kind of go back and forth over the couple of years as specifically more rewatches come into play. But my number 3 is Predator Badlands, the brand new Predator movie that honestly flips the script on the entire Predator franchise, but also still doubles down and has a lot of through lines from the previous films that a lot of people were wanting to see. Survival, letting the main character use his landscape to his capabilities of winning a fight and also putting them into an impossible task. And the fact that you were able to do that from the runt of a litter from a predator clan, and also double down and give us more into the insight of how a predator works, how you're able to dive more into the predator lore, I think is some of the best aspects of the entire movie itself. Predator Badlands, though, for me, kind of deals away from the horror aspect and dives way more into sci-fi adventure, and I think it works for the franchise. I think in this case, this is okay to reimagine and remake and double down. And this comes from someone who, while I was deeply excited for this movie, I hated the design of the Predator from the trailers. It just didn't scream Predator for me, but once you see the movie, you're like in awe of how much you care about Deck. And I think there's an argument to be made that Deck is possibly the best character in the entire Predator franchise now. He's, for me, my favorite Predator, maybe not by look, but by how badass he is and his story of redemption for himself and for others is a massive through line through here. And I think for outsiders and things like that, like, it's common themes that you've seen before, but never in the Predator franchise. And I love, love, love how Predator Badlands was able to take that, new themes, new ideas, new genre basically, and mix it with the original through line of survival horror and surviving in the worst case scenarios and becoming the predator and not the prey. And that is, for me, what was incredible in here. I also love that it deals and really ties into the alien world with Whaling Corp. I think that was amazing. I think Elle Fanning did an incredible job in this film in both her dual roles. But it really does come down to performance. And I think the actor's name is Demetrius, who plays Deck in here. And the mannerisms they gave Deck was phenomenal. You feel for Deck through his eyes, through his mannerisms. And a lot of that comes because Weta was the one that designed the suit from here. And they really wanted to take that same capability from Planet of the Apes and dive it into Predator Badlands. And I think Dan Trachtenberg just absolutely nailed it. I hope he continues to make more Predator movies with all these insane new ideas. And Badlands, man, this is an Aurora farming like type of action film. Like, there's so much badass action in here that it just absolutely impressed me to no end, and it just kept me with a giant grin on my face, laughing, having fun, and just loving this movie. The only thing I wish is that the movie was rated R. It didn't need to be rated R, and I'll really state that out there. I understand, but even if you didn't need it to be rated R, I wish there was just a little bit more blood, specifically from the synths that he destroys. I've seen synths get destroyed in Alien, and you can make a lot of gunk fly out of them. Didn't feel like I got that here, but regardless, Badlands is a high recommendation from me. It almost took my number 2 spot, but at my number 2, we have Dan Trachtenberg's, also his other awesome film, Prey. Amber Midthunder is absolutely amazing in this movie. And I think for me, rivals, like, if we're looking at protagonists, I know I just said how much I love Deck, but I think it's tied with Deck, and then you have Dutch, and then, of course, Naru. And I think for me, what I was so impressed by within Prey was how incredible they built up the world, built up this area of where the Predator is coming in. And I think it's really interesting to see Predator take on like a Native American camp, and also this time frame, and like the abilities that they have. And also, like, I know a lot of people shit on this Predator design, but I love like the skull mask. I think that's just so badass and like grimy and gritty that we haven't seen. But Prey, for me, really essentially like brought the same template of what we expect from a Predator movie, but elevated it because of an incredible performance and an incredible storytelling specifically for this group of characters. And for me, every single action set piece from the last was better and better, and building on that all. And while I do think Predator Badlands probably does have the best action set pieces out of, regardlessly, every single Predator movie, Prey still does have some of the best character development, as well as just some of the best more through line for the story. And I think Prey was paced perfectly throughout, that nothing could defeat that from that number 2 spot. Might go back and forth on Badlands. Badlands I wish was a little bit longer to add to the depth of Deck's story, but that's just like a small nitpick to say the least. My number 1, and this one, it like comes down to mainly nostalgia because of how much I absolutely love Predator, but I grew up with this movie. And I'm not going to lie, I dabbled with moving this one around. I think as a film, Predator is probably, like, if I graded it on like an actual film standpoint, I think it should probably be number 3. But in terms of pure joy, nostalgia, everything that kind of goes down to this film, how gritty it felt for the time. I think Predator is still the essential Predator movie. Predator Badlands is like the defining one that I think changes the landscape and evolves that franchise. Prey for me kind of brings back the Predator franchise in an incredible light that showcases that you don't have to do it during wartime. You could do it during different periods of time. And Predator just is a classic. I think when you look at this time frame and this time period of films where you're getting so many different cool ideas, Predator still stands out among the rest. This ragtag group of soldiers is so fun to see in action and the way that it plays out. The Predator is absolutely menacing and probably still my favorite designed Predator out of the bunch. But regardless of it all, it just really created a survival horror film that I absolutely love for all the different avenues of it. And Dutch is just perfection. It might be like my favorite Arnold role is still Terminator, but like above else, this is easily my second. I love the Predator franchise, and I think this first film absolutely knocked it out of the park. I know other people might actually put Prey or Predator Badlands above, but nostalgia has to take it for me. That's why Predator is still my number one. And I'm assuming for a lot of you guys, it'll probably be your number ones as well. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts, and of course, until next time, stay classy.